minutes.
And there's the mayor.
I'll entertain a motion. Does somebody want a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, the mayor has joined, so I'll turn it back over to the mayor then.
Great. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir. We just were doing some minutes for the last couple of meetings.
Great.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the minutes of the last.
There's a second. Anybody seconding it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed? All right, ayes have it.
Great. Isabella, I think that's all you needed for the minutes. Great.
All right, Dave and Ms. Cahill, I think we're gonna turn it over to you at this point to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and introduce Patricia Cahill, and I'll let her introduce herself. But she's the project manager for the water transportation study, and we want to take some time today to allow her to give you guys an overview and a discussion about where it's at and how it's going. So Patricia, all yours. Oh, I can't hear you, but is my audio okay?
No, I can't hear you either.
I can't either.
Okay, so
Now we can.
yes.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. We're always on Teams, so I feel like sometimes when I switch over to Zoom, who's to say? But yes, Dave, thank you for the introduction, and everyone. It's really great to meet you. I'm excited to be able to speak with you and really get your thoughts on how we're going to be approaching the next year of our lives here. So let me share my screen with you. All right. Can I just get a thumbs up if folks can see the screen? See slides in front of them?
It's black.
Oh, it is. Let me see. My apologies. Let's see. Let's see here. Is it still black?
There we go.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So again, Dave already gave me a great introduction. So I just have a few slides to go through, but please interrupt me at any point. I'll try to take this at a bit of a good clip, but really just want to hear what you all have to say about this study. So one thing I do just want to highlight, many of you are already from our coastal cities and towns that have ferry service, but do want to say that this study, while it emerged from the State House, is really a long time coming in the sense that both the state and the T have been heavily investing in water transportation, particularly in the last few years. We've had great investments in new vessels, most recently in the Frederick Douglass that is going to join the fleet, named from a Lynn Middle School student. And then we also have, as you all know, Dave, who joined in this role in 2024, had been with the T previously, as well as both federal and state investments in water transportation infrastructure that will really enable us to continue this trend, as you can see on the screen, of serving more and more riders with both more routes, more boats, and with easier ways of accessing this mode of transportation. And so this study is a continuation of the investment that we've seen. And so the study itself is based on language that was built into the 2022 bond bill. And so this is guiding our process, which means we do have certain specifics that we do have to look at, but we are taking the opportunity to go a bit beyond that language. So specifically, the bond bill requires a study to identify opportunities to use a $28 million pot of money on a study, then a design and engineering assessment of the outcomes of that study, and then a 3 to 5 year pilot program of the preferred alternative network that emerges from that project. And the study itself is a $1.25 million effort that we began internally earlier this summer and is running for about a year to be finished, provided we don't have any hiccups in summer 2026. to really understand what the public needs are for a completely comprehensive, accessible ferry network that is really fully integrated with the existing bus, commuter rail, and light rail system. We're going to accomplish these improvements through identifying kind of our existing ferry routes, improvements to those, whether that's infrastructure or the routes themselves, exploring new routes and terminal locations, multimodal access to those locations, and then also additional upgrades along the system. That could include accessibility upgrades. It could also include climate resilience measures, wayfinding, and other ways that our riders and potential riders tell us what would make their lives easier in using the ferry network. And so the bond bill identified specific cities and towns for us to take a look at, which would include Gloucester, Lynn, Quincy, Salem, Winthrop, and the East Boston, North End, and South Boston sections of the city of Boston. We are expanding that to include all locations with existing ferry service, which would include Hingham and Hull. And then we're also taking a look at Chelsea and Everett specifically. And then if we hear from others what may be considered, if we have the power to do so, we absolutely want to check those out. We're also coordinating this effort with existing state and MBTA efforts like Full T Ahead and the Program for Mass Transportation, or the PMT, the new Focus 40. What you see in front of you is kind of a high-level overview of what our schedule is. So as I said, in this past summer, we have been identifying our project goals, our study areas, and really investigating all of the great work that has been done by not only by the state and the MBTA, but also by organizations like Boston Harbor Now, who have already taken a look at some of this information of what it means to improve and possibly expand the ferry network. We're also working very closely with a lot of the municipalities who are already on this call, as well as community organizations and advocacy groups, to ensure that they know that this study is happening and to help us reach those communities that we need to speak with, so that we're not doing this kind of lofty in our own little worlds without speaking to the public. And so our public engagement schedule for this project is going to, so this already lives on our MBTA website, and I'll happy to drop all of that in the chat. We're going to have our first public meeting this fall on October 8th. And then we'll also be in communities at ferry terminals, commuter rail stations, bus depots this September and October. And I'll be sharing that schedule with you today as well. And just to reiterate all of the different touch points that folks will have to the project team, we're going to have virtual public meetings. So again, our first one will be in October. We'll have some in-person meetings in the spring, but everything will also be accessible. So if we have an in-person meeting, it will be available for folks who are viewing online. We're also going to have workshops in the spring so that folks can heavily interact with the project team. We'll have our pop-up events this fall where we're showing up at ferry terminals, bus stations, and commuter rail stations to speak with people in community. And then we also have our Evergreen project website and a project email address that, while it doesn't say my name, does go directly to me. So the public is going to have consistent and close engagement with the entire project team so that folks can stay as involved as they like. And I hope that is quite involved so that we're all moving forward together. Now, I know that was very quick, but I wanted to leave the vast majority of my time for any questions or discussion with this team. So I'll end here.
So I have a question, if that's all right, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Go ahead.
So thank you, Patricia, really appreciate it. So this committee, as you can see here, is comprised of several cities and towns, both of places that host ferry facilities and also communities where lots of residents sort of commute to those ferry facilities. So we certainly hope that you will engage with us as much as possible. This is a great place to bring those sort of cities and towns together. As you know, in the past few years, there have been several water transportation commissions and other groups that have all tried to sort of bring groups like this together, but I feel like we've been sort of the most consistent. So I certainly hope you'll keep that in mind. The second thing I wanted to mention is that one thing this committee has sort of taken a position on is around interoperability. And just wanted to encourage you as much as possible in your study scope to look at interoperability between the different providers. People that commute or move around the region don't really care who the operator is. They just want to sort of get where they're going and get where they're going with a minimal amount of fare products as possible. So whether it's Salem or whether it's the convention center or whether it's somebody else, whatever we can do to make that as seamless as possible for the user, I think is an important a potential outcome of your study, and I would encourage you to push on that very hard. And I'm happy to talk to you about that. The fact that the convention center operates a ferry from North Station to the fan pier that people can't access without with their existing T-fare media is kind of weird. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And I guess the third thing I would say is that the economic opportunities that ferry transportation can bring are huge, and this is also not something that should be ignored. I'm not sure if it's in the scope of your study or not, but looking at Mayor Nicholson and the folks from Quincy here, I mean, the opportunity to transform certain waterfront areas through additional ferry transportation links is huge. We've seen the Hingham Shipyard, and that's a huge success, not just because of the ferry, but obviously the ferry's been very important there. So whatever you can do to include economic development activities, I would also strongly encourage you to consider. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Patricia? I think we got Frank and then Joe. Okay, great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if this question is for you, Patricia, or for David, but last year the city and MBTA jointly received a federal discretionary grant from Federal Transit for improvements to the Swan Point Park ferry facility in Quincy. That discretionary funding, it concerns me that the money has not been spent yet to do those improvements because it is discretionary funding, and for what's been going on nationwide regarding discretionary funding being pulled back, I'm concerned that without getting those funds obligated soon, that we may be at risk of losing those funds. So I don't know if you know the status of the actual construction improvements at that ferry facility in Quincy.
Yeah, I can jump in. Thanks. Yeah, we share the same concern, although from what we've heard, these funds, this program is probably not high on a list of targeted discretionary grant programs that are being clawed back by the feds. Obviously, as we know, anything can change any minute. But the real fact here is that we can't obligate those funds until we go through the MEPA process. So that is, kind of a fundamental entering argument, so to speak, to getting the obligation of those funds done. So we've started on the process of that, and we're working on that, and we have the same kind of urgency that you feel to get those funds obligated and make sure that we don't lose them and make sure that we can move forward on this project. But we can't short circuit the process, and if we did, then we would lose the funds. So the process is underway. I have not been. I've been at APTA all this week, so I haven't had a chance to talk to the project team and track down the exact schedule. But we'll figure that out, and we'll circle back with you and share the detailed timeline of how this is going to come together. But yeah, we share the concern. the indications we're getting is that it's not at risk, and we hope to proceed as planned.
Appreciate that. Yeah, the sooner the better because of the possible risk that, as you say, anything can change, and knowing your schedule would definitely be helpful.
Got
Thank you.
Joseph, Aaron, then Jason. Go ahead, Joseph.
Oh, hi. Sorry. And so just on behalf of Hingham, thank you for all the work improving the terminal and making it more accessible. Will you make the slide deck available to all of us, the one you just presented?
Yes, I'm happy to send it out. Thank you.
Great. I know our town, and I suspect other towns would be willing to conduct surveys for you that we can reach out, through the town website to get you more targeted information if that would be helpful. I'd like to put some urgency into this. There are a number of coastal communities, Hingham being one, where we're focusing on Rev 250 and how the ferry can support that activity and how we can support the ferry in generating traffic. So that's an opportunity that's now. It'll be over within a year. So to the extent that we can hook up with you and get some action now, that would be appreciated. And the final point is, I know you mentioned pop-ups. My experience at the ferry and at other transportation modes are people are in a rush. They want to get on the ferry or get off and get home. So I'm not sure how productive that's going to be. I don't think people are going to be there to talk. They want to get on the boat or get on whatever they want to get on. So just a word of caution there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm hopeful we'll be able to catch a couple people. We'll be going on Folks' Way home, where hopefully they'll be a bit more relaxed. But thank you. I absolutely take your comments into consideration, and I'm happy to work with you going forward. Thank you.
Aaron?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think this builds off Brian's comments. There's the third comment about economic development. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the existing condition analysis, sort of the kind of things that you're going to be looking at as a part of that planning process. Obviously, you'll be looking at the ferries, the infrastructure, but are you going to be looking at sort of land use, economic development existing in those communities, but also sort of what's planned for in the future around ferry terminals and et cetera?
Yes, so that is part of our existing conditions work. We are taking a look at anything where a permit has already been pulled. We would have to rely on conversations with municipalities on work that we don't have access to, whether it's a MIPA permit or anything else. And so I'm happy to discuss that in more detail. When we have our alternatives this spring for the alternatives moving forward, we are going to take a deeper look at the economic development of those locations. I don't know if that completely answers your question, or if you're looking for more specifics. I'm happy to provide them to you.
I think it does. I think that there's partly what's entitled and what we expect to see. Just for reference, it's not obviously here. I work with Mayor Nicholson in the city of Lynn, and our redevelopment objectives on the waterfront are very much driven by transit. We are looking at transit-oriented development, and clearly the ferry terminal in Lynn is driving a lot of that. So it's not just what's entitled right now in terms of development, but what we are planning for and what we've regulated under zoning and through investments to help sort of better understand what potential ridership. There's probably a better term for that on a vessel, but what the ridership might be into the future.
Yes, so we are using the MPO's TDM 23 model to project a lot of those trips based on our existing conditions report, which will include again, mostly things that have already been permitted, but we are taking a look at any long range plans or comprehensive plans that have been made by towns and cities. So that we can hopefully then add that in if the projected trip results don't really match up with a major redevelopment, for example.
Great, thank you. We'll look forward to working with you on that. It's a really exciting opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron.
Jason.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Jason, the Hull representative. Just want to echo some of the things Joe said, and thank you so much for doing the presentation. And also just to say, really excited and happy to be a partner for public engagement as you go out to the towns, and there's different things we can do. Joe and Corey, who's here from Cohasset, kind of working together with, the existing towns that have service and different things. And in Hull, we have our high school is fortunately located right across the street from our terminal, and we've had at different other stages where there's been ferry engagement meetings that have been very, well attended. We have a lot of engagement now for the 714 bus that's been connecting from the terminal, and that project has seen a lot of engagement as well. So whether it's pop-ups, meetings, workshops, presentation to our select boards. On the select board, I know Joe was in his town and maybe some of the others, and I think you'll see a lot of engagement from the existing towns, especially on this, and appreciate your efforts, and very excited to be part of the process. Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, Jason, thank you very much. And thank you too. I was at your with the MBTA bus team at your Endless Summer Festival, and got to meet your town administrator and a lot of your residents. And that was great. Heard a lot of really good feedback about how they currently use the ferry and how they wish they could. So thank you. Happy to stay in touch and meet with whomever you like as the study progresses. Thank you.
Frank?
Thank you. Yeah, I just have one more question. Are you considering at all some kind of public notification regarding this? Like at the stations, you have signs, public signs that say, the next train will be in 10 minutes or delayed or whatever. Are you considering anything like that at the ferry facilities to know the schedule, whether or not a ferry is behind schedule or on time? Because I've heard some issues have come up in Quincy where people are waiting and the ferry may be behind schedule and nobody knows. And dissemination of information is best for the public anyway. And thank you for the presentation, but that's really my last question, as to whether or not this is being considered for the future.
Yeah, I can take that one. Absolutely, it is. The first piece of infrastructure that we need to be able to do that is real-time information about where the boats are. And we have now a plan in place to make that happen this year. We did a pilot on the Hingham and Hull ferries with a product that we use similar to what we do to track our buses. And that's a contract arrangement we have with the company called Swiftly. And so we tested out their product on our ferries, and it works. So we have already procured tablets because it's a software that runs on a tablet. We've already procured the tablets, and we're in the process of finalizing the agreement with Swiftly to add on the ferries to the bus contract. And we're going to be deploying those tablets with the Swiftly software onto the ferries this coming quarter. And then that will allow us to have all of the real-time positions and what routes they're operating on, just like a bus or a train. And that will feed in to the MBTA, cloud back office. And then once that information's there, it will be on the app, and it will be on all of our digital platforms. And then once we have that, then we can expand out into putting signs and displays, real-time information displays at all the ferry terminals. That's a little bit of a bigger, challenging project in terms of electricity and communications, and how to do that, in a good in a good way in a marine environment, which is a little bit challenging on the docks and so forth. But I've already started talking to our technology team about how we can do that, and what kind of products the marketplace offers to be able to do that. So that's in the works. It won't be the information will be available on the app by the end of the year. The information, getting digital displays out to each ferry terminal, that'll be a little bit more of a long-term process, and I don't have a timeline for that, but it's underway.
Thanks. Yep, Joe?
Okay, that's great to hear, but I just add that at ticket offices, just having something displayed right there. I know there's not an enclosed ticket office everywhere, but at least in Hingham and Boston, it'd be great to have that posted so people can follow what's going on.
Yeah, some locations will absolutely be easier than others. The Hingham Ferry Terminal, where we already have the MBTA network and a lot of electricity and a
Yep.
building, will obviously be a lot easier to deploy there than it will be, for example, at Squantum Point, where it's a little bit more of a remote location. But yeah, we'll try to make it happen everywhere.
Yep. That's great. Although, you could always raise flags, have someone pulling up a flag if it's a red flag, if it's going to be an hour late.
That sounds like a great job for Brian.
Sign me up.
Just I had a couple of questions. The scope that you presented included, I think, improvements to existing routes. Is that like considering frequency? Is that one of the areas of improvement you guys would look at? Okay, right. And then for the input that you're getting, the survey and the public meetings are going to be great. Were you also planning to do sort of like one-on-one meetings with particular communities, or like open to doing small group meetings that communities could convene? Because I think it could be helpful to sit down with particular folks that are working on this and get maybe some of the plans that aren't published yet or filed yet, or a community's aspirations. And sometimes that's who makes up those groups is probably different in different communities, but I'm sure each community could bring together a small group of people that would have an impactful conversation.
Yes, I would love to, actually. That sounds hugely helpful. So our website is going to be updated actually tomorrow, along with a press release and a media advisory that's going out with all of the dates where we will be in communities, as well as our first virtual public meeting. But I am happy to meet with any city or town or community group that would like to. This is the schedule that we're releasing is more just when we're going to have the larger efforts, and where our consultant team will be able to come with me. But otherwise, I'm happy to speak individually to hear about any up and coming plans that might impact what we're planning for ferry service. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great.
And I can reach out to your staff if that's the easiest way to do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much, Patricia. That is very exciting. We're all eagerly looking forward to working with you on it.
Thank you very much. And Dave, thank you as well. How was APTA, Dave? A lot of ferry stuff?
Yeah, it was great. I have a picture I can, and I also have a deck that I can run through real quick. If it's on your agenda, if you want to do that, of some updates to some recent stuff. It's pretty quick, but yeah, let me find this picture because it was fun.
I had hoped to get over there, but I just couldn't make it. It's almost like when the conference is in your hometown, it's harder to get to.
We were talking about that when we went out for drinks and dinner. After the event, it's like the people can easily go back to their hotel, but we have to go back home and live our regular lives. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me see if I can share. There we go. Can you guys see that?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, that's the back. Whoops. Sorry. That's the deck. You don't want that. Pictures are better. We used the ferry Aurora, and we conducted a tour for for those of you who aren't in the loop on what's going on here, APTA, the American Public Transit Association, was in town for their annual conference at the convention center. 3,000 people from all kinds of public transit agencies around the country were over there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and there's some follow-up stuff today. One of the things the MBTA did is offer some technical tours to the participants. And one of the technical tours that we offered was a tour a tour of Boston Harbor on a ferry on Monday afternoon and Tuesday afternoon. And this is the group that we took on Tuesday afternoon. We took the ferry Aurora, which is one of our big ferries that runs Hingham to Rose Wharf. And in the middle of the day, it usually does whale watches, but there's no whale watches on Mondays and Tuesdays in September. So the boat was available to us. We grabbed 50 people and put them on a couple of buses, brought them over to the ferry and gave them a tour of all the transit opportunities that we have on the harbor. So really, really neat and really successful and really fun.
Awesome.
But
Wish
yeah,
I
you
could-
want me to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I wish I was there, but alas. Yeah, why don't you run through your deck, Dave, if you don't mind, if it's okay with everybody.
Yep,
Sure. Here's the bullets I threw together, operating dates, christening another new boat, not all good news all the time, and ridership. I'll dive right in. Here's a reminder on the operating dates. Weekends, we go until Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day weekend on the seasonal weekend service that we offer, which is Hingham, Hull, Hingham, Hull, Lynn, Winthrop, and Quincy. And then weekdays on the seasonal service goes until around Thanksgiving. So that's the plan for right now. We've heard the requests for increased service and going to year round. That's challenging for a number of reasons, but we're looking into it and more to follow on that. We had another christening event. As Patricia mentioned, we christened the Frederick Douglass, which was the Scudic Explorer, on Wednesday, September 10th. Really a great event, really exciting to have the kids there. They loved it. They had a great time. And we'll be doing a pizza party with them later on in this year to celebrate their participation in this program. Really excited to have a boat with a really locally connected name on the harbor. Scudic Explorer is a neat name, but Scudic actually refers to the area up around Bar Harbor, Maine, where this boat operated. That's the Scudic region. Who knew? So yeah, this is really exciting. And then also really exciting, we bought the Millennium. The Millennium is a 400-passenger high-speed aluminum hull catamaran. It's identical to the two ferries. It's actually identical to the Aurora, the boat that we just used yesterday and Monday for the tour for the APTA participants. We're doing the transfer of ownership and transferring the home port paperwork, and we need to do a few touch-up modifications before we can place it in service. We expect to have it in service by the end of the year, and then really kind of, take some schedule, some route and blow it up and really put this boat into position to. The first problem I want to solve is to relieve our weekend summer crush loads on Hingham and Hull. And that will really kind of break free some ability to really enhance our weekend service on the summer. We got crushed this summer with much higher demand than we could accommodate. So this boat will help us to solve that. So really exciting. This boat has really a fun and interesting background. It was built in 1998 along with the two boats that we have. It operated here in Boston for a long time, and the prior Boston Harbor Cruises sold it. And this is a picture of it being loaded or unloaded, I'm not sure which, onto a heavy lift ship, because it was carried over to San Francisco, and it operated in San Francisco for a few years. So kind of a cool picture, obviously from a long time ago when it went back and forth to San Francisco. It also operated in Puerto Rico, in Florida, and then also most recently in New Jersey, running New Jersey to Manhattan. So it's back in Boston where it started its career. Fun fact, the name Millennium was chosen by the Hingham passengers back when the boat was new. in 1998. So this one's already got a local name associated with it. And some of the Hingham riders actually remember when it came into service and remember choosing the name for it. So exciting to have it back. The picture on the right is the delivery crew that brought it up from Somerset, Fall River area when we transited up. All the women there are all captains who are all learning how to drive the boat and getting familiarized with the boat. So it was exciting to have an all-female captain crew and then some guys helping out in the engine room and as deckhands. So was that I was able to make the transit up from Fall River, so it was a lot of fun. We got a fireboat, had a little escort, and made a little press event with the general manager and Ryan, our COO. So exciting times, great to add another boat and a big boat to our fleet. But it's not all good news all the time. Right now, we have 3 vessels out of service for engine replacement. The first one is the Valkyrie. That went down at the beginning, actually the end of July, very end of July. A leaking engine cooler allowed water into the starboard engine, and the engine essentially destroyed itself. We took a look at it, and it's a smaller boat with a smaller engine, and these engines are really kind of replacement. You don't really, there's not a whole lot you can do to overhaul them anymore. They're kind of disposable. The good news is we've got the replacement of the engine completed. We did some modifications to the fuel tank to make it easier to get water out of the fuel tank if water ever gets in again. That required drawings and engineering and Coast Guard approval, but all that work is done. The Coast Guard is witnessing a sea trial, or witnessed a sea trial this morning. I haven't heard how it went, but hopefully the boat, there's some cleanup work to get that boat back in service. Hopefully that boat will be back in service next week. So the silver lining there is we were able to get the work done and get it going. The Kurt Berger dropped a valve in the starboard engine, and again, a smaller engine on a smaller boat, the engine essentially destroyed itself. The replacement engine is on order. Right now, we're planning on replacing both the starboard and the port engine at this time due to hours on the port engine. While we got the boat out, it really does make sense to do both engine replacements. We'll figure out if the port engine is a candidate for refurbishment, or if it's if the block goes back into the recycling pile. But the boat's out of service for an extended period. And then the Glory, the starboard engine was underperforming. They inspected it, did a top end inspection, and the inspection reveals a need for a major overhaul. The most time and cost efficient approach is to replace the engine with an on-hand spare. We do maintain a warehouse of spares. We do have spare engines. We actually have 3 spare engines for this class of boat, the Glory and the Champion. So, there you go. If we're going to look at pictures, I just got pictures in this morning. There is the engine being hauled out of the Glory this morning. This is up in the Mystic Maintenance Facility that Boston Harbor City Cruises uses right under the Mystic Tobin Bridge there. So the starboard engine is out of the Glory, and the replacement engine should be going back in this afternoon. And we hope to have this boat back in service next week as well. So the problem with having a lot of boats out of service at the same time is that we've had some impact on the Winthrop and Quincy services. So the long story here is that there's 3 vessels that are designated for use on the Winthrop and Quincy route on a permanent basis. The Kurt Berger and the Mickey Murphy, which will become the harbor, or were christened as the Harbor Gem and Abigail Adams. They're technically still the Kurt Berger and the Mickey Murphy. Long story, but it's very difficult to change names on boats, and you can't really tell the Coast Guard when you want to change the name on a boat. You kind of have to go through a long paperwork process. So it's underway. And the Valkyrie. So those 3 boats, Kurt Berger, Mickey Murphy, and Valkyrie, are the 3 boats that we have designated. The Flying Cloud and the Scudic Explorer can operate on F7, but not on Winthrop. The Flying Cloud can access the seaport, and the Scudic Explorer cannot. So you can see where this is going. With the loss of the Valkyrie and the Kurt Berger, all we had left was the Mickey Murphy available to do Winthrop. and we put the flying cloud on Quincy. And while we were running the flying cloud on Quincy, we were able to access the seaport. However, when the Glory went down with its engine problems, we needed to swing the flying cloud back over to Hingham and Hull and put Scudic Explorer on F7 Quincy. So that means that we've been unable to access the seaport stop with the Quincy route for a couple of weeks now. The good news is that starting today, it was supposed to start this morning, but it's now starting now. We've reconfigured how we're servicing the seaport stop in conjunction with the Red Bull diving event that is this weekend. And so we're now able to serve the seaport stop with the Quincy route and the Scudic Explorer. So it's been a tough month with trying to piece together service and keep everything running. The good news here is that we have the spare vessels and we didn't have to cancel service completely very often. We did cancel a couple of times. But the biggest impact has been not being able to offer service to the seaport on that Quincy route and then just running on the Razor's Edge with no backup ferries. We did invent a new schedule that kind of mirrors the schedule that have been used in years past, where we operate one boat on a Winthrop, Quincy, Boston looping route. And we've been able to use that. We used it on one Friday when the Mickey Murphy, when the Scudic Explorer had a problem and wasn't available, and we just had no more boats. Not the best story that I want to tell, but I want to fess up and be honest about the struggles that we sometimes have. So the good news here is that most of these boats are getting cycled through the shop and getting back into service. The other good news is we're buying another boat to be a backup. So we got access to another boat that's identical to the Mickey Murphy, Kurt Berger, Harbor Gem, Abigail Adams, and we are closing on that boat very soon. And we'll be bringing another one of those boats up to Boston and add it into the mix. So that's another one of our long-term solutions, is to get more boats. And that's just broken free in the last couple of weeks. So that's exciting news. I see somebody raise their hand.
Yeah, Dave, that was me. My understanding of the contract is that the Boston Harbor Cruises folks were supposed to, Hornblower, I guess now, are supposed to provide a backup boat in these sort of situations. Is that different language than it used to be, or is it something different now?
Yeah, it's route by route, and in this route, on the route, this is the Winthrop and Quincy route is a route where we provide the vessels. So we own and lease the Valkyrie. So they're not obligated in the contract to provide us with backup vessels on these particular routes because we provide the vessels. Now, having said that, they've gone out of their way to slide in vessels where they could. But the constraints in the seaport and the constraints in Winthrop are such that there's not a lot of, even in their fleet, there's not a lot of options. They have a lot of big boats that do whale watches and excursions, and they have slotted those in. We've been using the Sanctuary and the Cetacea on the Hingham Hull route on occasion to free up the flying cloud, which is kind of not a contractual obligation, but they've just been doing it to try to keep the service running. So the short answer is no, they're not obligated. The longer answer is even though they're not obligated, they've been doing the best they can to give us as many vessels from their fleet to keep the service running as best as it can. Somebody else had a question? Anybody? Lastly, I'll run through the ridership slides. Ridership continues to be, exceeding last year's levels and exceeding the 2019 pre-COVID baseline. Crush loads of people in June and July. The bad news here also is that for the season, starting the Thursday of April vacation, which was the first day when we had excess demand, we've estimate that we've left about 5,000 people on the docks, primarily in Hingham, also Hull, some Lynn, some people on the Quincy route, some people on the Winthrop route, you know, and obviously some people at Long Wharf on the flip side of the Hingham route. And that's a cumulative total, and it's a deceiving number because some of those people were actually able to get on the next boat. So it doesn't mean that they didn't get any service. When we look at the numbers, we're really proud of the ability to balance the pain between Hingham and Hull. We really did a good job of reserving capacity and getting people in Hull on the boat. Now, people were still left on the dock in Hull, but a whole heck of a lot more people were left on the dock in Hingham. So although it felt painful for the Hingham riders, although it felt painful for the Hull riders, and they couldn't see it, the pain was being shared, and the data does support that. Obviously, the solution to that is the Millennium and that bigger boat, and being able to blow up that weekend schedule and really get more capacity onto the system. You know, one of the things, you know, it's certainly, you know, well, it was a very nice summer in terms of the weekend weather. The weekends were great, which just increased demand. And then I'll also have to say that Boston Harbor City Cruises did a great job of slotting in vessels when they didn't need to. We used some bigger boats on some weekends to accommodate a lot of people, and we also did kind of a regular thing where the whale watch boats on Saturday do their whale watches during the day in Boston, and then they deadhead. They have a deadhead movement from Boston down to Quincy or Hingham where they lay overnight. And so what we were able to do was to kind of swing those boats into service on that and make that deadhead move a passenger carrying move so that we could get people out of Boston. The good news, you know, so obviously we did a lot of things to accommodate as many people as we could. We still left a lot of people on the docks. So, you know, shout out to everybody really on all corners of the staff, really doing as much as we could to accommodate as many people as we could. But yeah, it was a busy summer. Here's a breakdown on by route. F1, Hingham to Rose Wharf, you know, up 8%, up 9% in June and July. Just, you know, those boats were crushing. Oh, I will note that we never left anyone on the dock for the last trip of the night. And we had preparations in place a bunch of times to have substitute buses on standby so that if someone was going to be stranded on a dock in Boston, primarily at the end of the night, we would have bused them to where they need to go. We would not have said, oh, well, too bad. Have a nice stay in a hotel in Boston, or have a nice $100 Uber ride. So that's the good news. The schedule goes late enough and we had capacity that we never left anybody stranded for the last trip. Anyways, Hingham and Hull, the ridership was up 6% in July. It would have been up even bigger if we had bigger boats. In August, when we really got into our rhythm of providing some bigger boats, that number is going to be even higher. So very impressive ridership on those routes. There's the insane 232% spike in East Boston. That's the week when the Blue Line was shut down. I think we talked about that at the last presentation. Just insane numbers. An anecdotal story: last Tuesday, I think the Blue Line had a problem at the evening rush hour. There were the Blue Line didn't actually shut down. The headways got bad, so there were starting to be some crowds building up on the platforms in the city at State, Aquarium, and Government Center. And there was no messaging, there was no announcements, there was no direction given to the public to use the ferry as an alternative. But boy, they did. Within minutes, we had 500 people on the dock looking to ride on the East Boston Ferry without being told. And we were able to accommodate all of them. We swung in an extra boat, and we moved all those people with, some delay. Some people had to wait 10, 15 minutes for a boat, but we got all those people across the harbor pretty quick. Really interesting to see people self-diverting now that they know that the East Boston Ferry is an alternative to the Blue Line. It's a good and a bad thing. And we're in constant communication with the Blue Line folks. When something happens, they call us right away and say, "Hey, you are going to get refugees," and that way we can ramp up and prepare for it. Charlestown, not clear why Charlestown's a little lagging behind, but that's more of kind of a foundational service where you're going to get minor fluctuations in the ridership, not not anything big. Oh, I forgot to mention on East Boston, we attribute the reduction in ridership in July that the Sumner Tunnel was shut down in 2024, and in 2025 it wasn't. So in July July of 24 the ferry was free, and the Sumner Tunnel was shut down. So we expected to see higher ridership. We did, and now the ridership came back down in July. So not surprising to see that dip on East Boston in July. Here's the Lynn and Winthrop Quincy numbers. Lynn lagged behind some weather. Oh, this is another one. That's right. This is another one where Sumner Tunnel. Last year in 2024, the service was discounted, and of course the Sumner Tunnel was shut down, so that probably pushed people onto the ferry. And then without that, being a driver, we were seeing a little bit of reduction in ridership. It'll be interesting to see what happens in August. The weekends on the Lynn Ferry were a very high ridership. Boat filled up quite a few times. We'll see what happens. I'm really interested to see the August numbers. I'm betting it'll be bigger than August of 24 in August of 25. And then here's our winner of the week, winner of the year, Winthrop and Quincy. Build it and they will come. The Blue Line in 2024 represents the combined Winthrop and Quincy route that used to run. And so we wanted to make a chart here that compares apples to apples. So the black line is a combination of the two routes so that we can compare to what people were doing last year. And obviously with the separated routes, the better schedules, we've seen a tremendous increase. And then the addition of weekend service for the first time on the Winthrop and Quincy route, we've seen tremendous ridership. And really excited about being able to offer a decent service to all those people. So yeah, build it and they will come. You would have thought that maybe ridership would double, with two different routes out of one, but the ridership tripled, which is really exciting. And through January through July, for the first 7 months of the year, we're at 867,000 riders. It's a little bit difficult to discern, what track we're on here. Are we on track to exceed 2019? The 2025 numbers in the beginning of the year were a little lower than 2019. Obviously, we're going to put 2024. We're going to blow 2024 out of the park. I'm really curious to see if we're going to hit the 2019 pre-COVID numbers. The first few months were under, so we'll see what happens in the later months. It's not a contest. Who cares? It's just entertaining to see what happens. We're driving for success and driving for driving for accommodating as many people as we can. So it's the ridership numbers are a little bit academic, but it's fun to see how they go. And I think that's all I got. What do I got? Yep, that's all I got.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. Corey has a question.
Yeah, thanks, David. Sorry for being late, everybody, but David, thanks again for your efforts here. It's a repeating theme for me. I still think there's more latent demand out there, and I think you've seen it now in the data. And as you pointed out, you double the ferries, you triple the ridership, right? So I'll echo what I've said at the last couple of meetings: is kind of whatever efforts that this committee can make toward making noise and getting resources, or whatever the case may be, to accelerate whatever plans you see in our future. Please engage us on that, because Having 5,000 people, even if they get the next boat, I mean, there's just a lot of people that can be transported in a much more, carbon friendly, cost friendly, traffic friendly way. And this service continues to be such the diamond of the system that I want to be sure that we keep feeding it. So thank
Yeah,
you.
that's one of another anecdotal kind of data point that I'm really fascinated to see is on the Lynn Ferry on the weekends. To drive, and I've done it, to drive in from Lynn to the city, it's not terrible. There's not a ton of traffic. You can do it. And then if you have a family of six or a group of eight, maybe not eight, but a group of 5 or 6 that you could fit in one car and drive in, you can get parking for $30-$40 a day in the city on the weekend. That's pretty decent parking. And the ferry's actually going to be more expensive when you do the math and you pay for 6 adults. Say all your kids are teenagers or it's just a group of adults. The ferry's actually going to be more expensive than the trip. And so it's really fascinating to see those groups gravitate towards the ferry because it's just more enjoyable and it's more relaxing and it's an easier way to do it. I hope that people are doing it for the carbon friendly nature of mass transit. That's my personal hope as a transit nerd. But yeah, like you say, build it and they will come. And that's been really kind of heartwarming to see is that people use public transit even when it might not be the most cost efficient solution. That's fascinating to me.
Joseph?
So first, just thank Corey. I support everything you've said. I didn't see any data here with respect to transport to Logan Airport. There's a real need, a real demand for that. I think I don't know if it's in the F2 numbers, but if you could break that out, because passenger demand at Logan is skyrocketing, and there's a real demand for the ferry service, and it's sporadic right now. You can get it maybe 3 times a day or 4 times a day, and if your flight's not on the ferry schedule, you're not using it. So I think there's a real opportunity for increased demand and really providing a public service to the extent that we can look at service to the airport.
Yeah, I was really and I know we're approaching time here, so I understand if people have to drop. But I'll keep talking as long as you want me to. I was really glad with what we were able to do on the Winthrop and Quincy routes, where the boat every trip goes to Logan, and we moved it so that the commuters don't have to go to Logan because Logan's a tough one. The regular commuters that are riding the ferry every day don't want their ferry to go to Logan, except when they want to fly somewhere. So and the people who are flying want their boat to go to Logan, at the time they want. So Logan, I'm really excited to dig into Logan service with Patricia and the consultants on the study and figure out how we can maximize the use of Logan Airport as a stop while not having every boat go there. We just can't do it. So I really want to get creative with the solutions on how we can do that and make because we're doing a lot and we have the data somewhere. It is buried in the numbers that we do. But yeah, we do a lot of service to Logan and a lot of people use it to get to Logan. Obviously not as many as commuting, but yeah, there's ways to make that better. And I want to do that.
Thank you.
So I suggest the authority pay for this committee to go to Venice and see its water connection to the airport. It's
Can I second that motion?
There you go. I took it last year. It was pretty impressive. So
Great. Thank you so much, David, for the update and Patricia for the presentation. And thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it.
thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank